Hey guys, welcome to a new video of Bitcoin Edge. Today we'll have an interesting talk with 52kskew. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well, bro. Market's moving, it's volatile. Both sides of degenerate traders getting wrecked. Pretty good markets, I'd say.
So many of you probably know Skew already. I've got to know him, I think, a year ago or a bit more in Silico's Discord
Degenerate group.
server. Yeah, the
Mm.
degenerate group. Correct then. Yeah, long time friend, I would say. In crypto, it is a long time. And yeah, today we're talking about
Yeah.
his indicators and how he's trading and what he's seeing and how you can profit from it as well. So,
Hell yeah. Um, so I'll start off with like my Twitter. So follow me there if you don't already. I typically tweet out some typical trend alpha stuff. I don't just cover BTC usually. I do some other markets as well. My partners that host all the tools, Kingfisher, and you can go to their site. If you make an account, then click Bizarre, you can get their templates, different tools like Beta Player that's matching, for example, BTC against ETH or ETH against Solana for trend plays. If you want to get a quick, easy few days or few hours trade that Solana goes above Ethereum, for example. Then you have VChart, and that is a very nice tool, right? That plots BTC being sold and bought, and you can filter it by, like, let's say 50 BTC. Where is it being sold and bought? And you can see exactly where market makers start to buy and sell. And then, of course, you have my different templates and the classes. So you got the premium, which I'll show a bit of today, compact, which I used to use, it's free. And then you'll have basic, which is every traditional type strategy, for example, like EMAs, which I'll load. And you can see, you can just trade the trend off the EMAs, and you can see who's buying, who's selling. And you can see right now the structure is mainly caused by perpetuals and liquidation cascade that brought us up. And you can see the systematics, which is, algos tend to buy the 100 EMA, for example. But you see the supply side is coming mainly from Coinbase. However, Binance is buying now, which usually is a good sign. And then below that, you'll have buy versus selling, and you can use different divergences. So you have a buyer divergence here, which means buyers are weak, but sellers need to step in to actually reduce the price. And in a old, but I will do a new write-up on Medium. And this talks more about, what is AGA, who are Kingfisher, CVDs, what are they, delta divergences, market offers, which is traps, in other words, when perpetuals are selling into spot bids, and then the smarter players will mean revert the price. That goes for tops too. This is one of the premium templates that I like to use a lot for kind of gauging what the market's doing easily. So you can see now, since the low, Coinbase accumulated the low, and they've been distributing the same amount they bought at the lows into this price area now. And this can be deemed a variation of a distribution rally. If we look at different other spot exchanges, so like what's Binance doing right now? They bought this rally. That was spot led 100%, and they're also doing the same. So you can see there is clarity between market makers getting rid of inventory around this area. I believe it is also a psychological price, actually about 59 to 60K area.
Yeah.
A break above that is full risk on in my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the volume delta. There's massive selling around this price.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of signifies it quite a bit for me. And as you can see, the biggest toxic flow exchange, FTX, sold into lows, basically bought it up, almost like a delta neutral type, plotting based on the CVD.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't any more bearish or bullish biased at this low, except as this rally goes up and this entire area, they've been buying pretty persistently. And as you can see on the decline, they were just buying, and they're still pushing the price up at this point. And it's in confluence with the delta volume bars below. Pretty large, substantial buying. They are more than, without a doubt, quite bullish. So you can see the Bitfinex guys, the exchange everyone hates at the moment, or used to. They sold spot to what we think is the larger player. So the firm fund, whoever they are, whale maybe,
Mm-hmm.
who put in giant walls around 70k, capping BTC from going any higher, and then persistently offloading BTC like 500 million a day or something crazy like that. And BTC just kept bleeding, and then going sideways, and then would fall again. And realistically, I would have seen a bottom at like 65. I mean, not 65, 55 to 56k ish. But then, this whole crash from the COVID reaction, perfect opportunity for Bitfinex to manipulate. And as you can see, there's pretty sharp declines. Everyone's, exiting, selling spot, mostly led by traditional spillover into crypto, since it is very correlated.
Mm-hmm.
And Bitfinex were one of the first to start heavily selling. And this was the indication that, you'd get a capitulation type move.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see here, the sell volume is pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
Quite a bit more than the actual buying into this candle, which kind of signifies that this is a great place for market to mean revert.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so if we take a general look, you can see from the low, the 29th, the little sweep we had, perps are quite bullish. Well, BitMEX is. Bybit sold the pullback. They're still bearish mostly here, so they probably get squeezed a bit. FTX has been aping. Wow. I'd say they're probably above spot here. This could be a pretty nice trap. Yeah, buyer volume's declining. You're getting some sellers here. This will be interesting. Then you got the Binance Futures Perpetual, which is BTC as collateral. You got a double top kind of divergence with like lower high in price. That's usually they're selling this, so it's a seller's type top. All right, and they're not completely supporting the price here either. Fairly neutral. And then you got Binance Futures, largest OI, I think, by BTC standpoint. Yep, you can see here another divergence with price, and you can see engulfing bar here. There were sellers here. And then you got a pretty clean flat floor here with divergence, so lower low in terms of CVD, but flat price. So someone was absorbing the bid. Absorbing sellers on the bid. So someone's buying. And then the same as the perp, you got clear confluence that this was the place to sell, right? About near 59k. And pretty clean few cool lows on the CVD and heavy selling, but nothing really happened. Price is going up. So that was FTX spot absorbing the sellers. And as you can see here, the CVD has not moved much, so they probably haven't changed their positioning really. Yeah, price has moved up. So if we go probably higher than this high, I'd say there'd be a big squeeze there offside. And if I go to derivatives, since they're mostly used in confluence to the options market and spot markets, like what Coinbase is doing usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see they're they were bullish. So this is more likely them covering puts or previous sells on, let's say, like 2022 futures. And yeah, it looks like it's just moving in confluence with spot market. Right in the middle, not many people really know what this is, right? So this is the Perpetual Premium. So I believe I chose Bybit against Coinbase. And basically on each close, if it's red, that means Bybit is chasing spot, higher than spot is bidding. And then for green, they're selling, whereas Coinbase is buying. So a simple metric that I believe you use.
Yeah, I use the
Yeah,
same one in
premiums.
my one, but I have my colors backwards, and I don't know why. Everybody always asks me what's supposed to be green, red in yours, and I'm like, well, I'm stupid. But yeah, it's the exact same I use, and I look at BitMEX, Binance, and Bybit, like all three, and I compare Coinbase and Phoenix as well to see what Phoenix is up to.
That's
And
good.
you know, I would have made a lot of those indicators you've made, like a couple of them, if I could. It's
Hey,
just I
that's
cannot make an indicator, so I'm stuck with mine. A friend of mine once made it for me, but your stuff is great, and this is the stuff
appreciated, man.
I love as well. So yeah, guys, pay attention. This stuff is really um, good to
Yeah,
watch.
it's edge.
Yeah,
It's
it's
pure
big
edge. I
edge.
mean,
Yeah.
it gives you the insight you need to know.
hmm
What the fuck is Binance doing and
hmm If you
what
guys have
is.
if you guys have questions about this stuff, make sure to go to 52's or Skew's Medium page. You know, he explains a lot of the stuff he's looking at. Um, he's maybe he wants to answer some questions in his comments on Twitter or below the YouTube video. But yeah, make sure you understand everything, because this stuff is big alpha, if you ask me. Um, yeah,
It's pretty decent.
yeah.
Yeah, just leave comments or comment on my posts on Twitter.
hmm
I'll try to respond to all of them.
hmm
Or I assume we can do a follow-up video based
I'm
on what people are curious about.
sure. I'm totally down for that. Totally down for that.
Easy, easy. So the two indicators you see on the screen,
hmm
the top is the premium, like we said, and the bottom just plots the difference in volume. So green being the
Ah,
buyers and red being the sellers. And you can
ah.
use this as the same as you can see the green here. So spot is buying and Bybit selling. Whereas in the sell volume, you have this big capitulation type move, right? That was the low, I think.
hmm hmm
And then you have around here, massive spike with selling, but not enough to cause continuation. So that is usually a pretty good signal to start, limiting in, limiting long, obviously. Right. And then you have the futures against spot. And you can see based on the red, they were trying to buy before we dropped. And then you can see this big spike here. You'll see some of these occasionally. They're like little anomalies, but they're not. And what this usually indicates is a fat wall on Binance Futures was filled. So someone bought a lot. And that usually is around psychological prices. So like SRs, support and resistance levels. And you can see, yeah, so they had additional selling after the low. You got a nice div at the low too. Yeah, we're getting discounted prices the entire time. So futures is still selling. I mean, they are seller biased to hedge spot. That is something to note. But really, each time they start to sell, you see buyers step in. And that's a supportive trend, really. Quite nice to see. All right, so I'll move on to another template, which I'll show. So this is my new series of templates. It cleans up a lot of the data, so it's easier to read. Yeah, I mean, you can see it's pretty clean. This is marking Coinbase and Bybit and their CVDs, and we'll go to the low. Pretty mutual low. You have decent delta volume of sellers smacking into this level, and you got liquidations. So some longs got swept here, and then from there, complete bid frenzy. And you can see around this point where the Bybit CVD went over price, that was covering, and then they start to decline. This is more than likely people taking profit, disbelief in the rally, and you got massive liquidations coming in from different exchanges around here in each candle, just driving the market up because that's where the most amount of liquidity is. So this is very predatory, but often it's the beginning of new trends. So you can see around here this ugly ass candle. SFP up, lower liquidations down, not enough liquidity here, so spot starts to sell into bids. And you can see here, you could deem this as premium. So Bybit overstepping Coinbase in the market. And typically you'll get with structure, lower highs, right? And then like lower low, etc. And then you see this puke, and there's a bit of buying from spot. And one thing to note, you can use this pretty good confluence, is this white line with the buy versus sellers. That's delta, and that's delta over a period of about 100 days. I might change it to 50 later on, but as you can see, it's supported with the price, and that's, that's like buying the 50 MA or the 20 MA that's under the price. Price keeps testing, rebouncing, and continuing up. And you got clips of green, and that's good buyers stepping in, supporting the price. And typically near the end of these moves, you get lower levels of buying. And then you start to see selling creep in more and more and more, and then you got no buyers here, just selling. And that's usually a great point to start hedging. All right, and then with this, you can see Bybit pukes. You get high sell volume, and then just flat on the delta. And that's great bottom, little mini intraday bottom there. And it just continues to stay flat. But you got clips of buying. And this is where perps have a nice little squeeze of themselves, but Coinbase is not buying. And that's something to note, because it's just more predatory. So someone is chasing the shorts on a different exchange. And we can have a look at that later. And now you got big buying blip, and the delta continues to get higher, right? And this is something to note with tops. But you have more sellers, less buying, delta's flat. pretty flat top, wick above, huge liquidation, great time to hedge. And as you can see, price has just declined alongside value, which is driven by Coinbase typically. All right, and now you got, ooh, look at this, huge selling into the low. Bidded up by Coinbase, I mean not Coinbase, by Bybit, and FTX stepped in. And now you'll start to see the delta. It's made a little higher, supporting the price. And you can see big clips of buying. So these big candles, more liquidations, walking the price up. And now you see less and less buying. Delta's high, and the seller's stepping in. So buyers are offside. And we should get some kind of sweep if FTX doesn't want to cuck people more. As there's always the off chance of that, which you got to keep an eye out for. All right, so here's a easier template to understand. Everyone loves their MAs. I use them too, love them. So at the top, you got the different CVDs, Binance Spot, Coinbase, Perps, and the different liquidations. So if you look at price, breaks above the EMAs, and then starts to hold the 50. Clean bounce there, sellers into it. That's really just simple. And then just note the CVDs, what they do. So as you can see here, you got a divergence in CVD. So Binance starts to sell here, but you still haven't broken the trend. So you get more liquidations cascade. And you got these ugly wicks. You could start hedging here if you want, and then set this kind of level as like your hedge level. And as you can see, the Coinbase spot starts to sell in this tire range. So they're deeming this as their, let's say, distribution area, just the place to sell, right? And then the moment you start to test the 50 EMA as resistance, that's your systematic trigger that we're going to test the next EMA level. And we've already done that twice. So there's that. And you can see there's this more selling. Buyers are kind of like, do we buy here? Do we not? Don't know if the RR is there. And with the CVD, you can just see it's mainly perpetual buying. So you don't really need to trade this. This is sort of the area just to watch and fade. And then you can take the next confirmation. And that could be from FTX Spot or Coinbase.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
This is something else that I'm going to put on Kingfisher. And really it's just showing the spread between the market. And you can watch this in live time with your trading. And it just shows the different exchanges, what prices they're currently at, who's bidding, and then it has the tape. I find tape is a great confirmation for notable areas where we start to see buy and sell pressure. And that's with absolute confluence. If you use heat maps, for example, you'll see walls get filled by Phoenix, Binance, Coinbase, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can see there's big clips of selling here on Binance. So they're deeming this great place to sell. But the problem is, Spot's not doing anything. So what they want to see, what you really want to see, is Spot moving with your bias. If not, you're technically offside. That's risky, so it makes your trade more risky. One of my recent ones, templates, for basically the same kind of thing Ramby looks at, or Edge. And this is
my nickname, guys, is Ramby. So if you guys can always call me Ramby.
whoops.
No, it's totally fine. As long as it's not my real name, it's all fine.
It's crypto. We don't know each other's real names.
No.
Right, so I added the CVDs in recently just to kind of gauge a bit more perspective with the basis change. And I've grouped perps basis, so you can see the entire layer. They're bearish. Everyone knew that. CT was bearish. I was even very, very cautious on my risk.
I mean, I saw basically Suzu bottom tweeting again, or basically bear tweeting at the bottom, and that's when you know it's
Same
not
as
a.
light.
That's when you know it is the bottom. Best free
Yeah,
indicator
sure,
there is at the
sure.
moment, I think.
Yeah,
And
his account's an interesting one.
And somehow on the leaderboard, of Bitfinex, you can see him basically making big profits. So he's counter trading his own tweets as well.
What a meme.
It's pretty epic, yeah. 3 Digits Inbound pointed that out yesterday. And I mean, I was going hard at Sewell already on Twitter last week and stuff. I mean, it's not that ethical, in my opinion. But it's funny as hell.
Yeah, no, it is. It's psychology trading.
Yeah.
Everyone does it.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. What were we talking about?
Just this nice little trend market screener type thing. So you got the different bases between perps, stablecoin futures. That's Binance futures. Yeah, they're USD.
And this is all Bitcoin, right? Like everything we looked at right now is Bitcoin. What
basically?
Like, do you have like anything for, let's say, an altcoin? Is there a tactic you say like, well, for altcoins it is different, you use this, or for altcoins, or maybe you don't do much altcoins as possible as well? But what is your plan for treating altcoins, if I may ask?
Similar strategies. So really, altcoins have more significance around like degenerate traders making big bets around tops, and you can see that, and using like Exocharts. And very much what I've showed you, you can use the same on most altcoins. So all these charts now, I will have different variations in like Sol and Ethereum. But we can do a video on altcoins.
Yeah, sure.
Like different strategies I use. Yeah, so as you can see, like lovely little screener. You got the liquidations, kind of like what you'd see on Coin Analyze and I think Skew, a few others maybe as well, which I've forgotten. Yeah, so you see the liquidations are easily pointed out through this entire range, right? And you can see they were really, really bullish around here.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the right time, the right liquidity, everything for the big guys to start offloading like crazy.
Yeah.
And what do you get here? The inflation meme, huge cascade, wipes a lot of people out. Basically everyone that degened here in this push up, right, got wiped out.
Yeah.
And then you just sit here, and then you have this bearish retest of the range.
Yeah, I believe like that area over there, right there, we had that spot ETF news basically coming. That whole week that run up was
ETF
pushed a bit by Barry, releasing some hints, and then and Susu as well, of course, he chimed in. Then we made it pop up. Then we had
Be careful with news like that, because often that's what they do to trap you. And they will do the exact opposite, which is selling. And what these big dudes need, because they're handling portfolios of billions or 9 figures at least. They need your bids, because you are the liquidity to them. It's a game of like cat mouse. They're the sharks, you're the fish. That's how this the business of crypto works.
Yeah. By the way, really quick update. I'm not sure if you're trading right now, but Merck & Co. said their vaccine will probably work for the new variants and all the other variants. And JPOW will talk in 8 minutes. Just so you know. Little news update.
I mean, it's kind of predictable.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if you're trading right now, so don't have to say it either, but
Yeah. All right, so the CVDs, you can see since the bottom, the main guys buying were FTX and Phoenix, from what I recall. And you can see, like an RSI, right? You have these higher lows
what
the entire time.
like a short question. What exchange gives you the most information basically of like what indies work your what exchanges does your indie work best on? I was talking about it with C2M this morning, and he was like, yeah, well, for me, I like to watch at BitMEX the most because it's clean and
Honestly,
stuff. Yeah, like what?
the secret sauce that I've been using for a while is you have. I'll probably release this too. Basically, you just use Phoenix spot, so the BTC USD.
Mm-hmm.
That will be your spot CBD, and then your reference, the perp, would be BitMEX. And there's very, very funny, very high confluence between the two, because the same mofos that move the market around use those books.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense, you know. BitMEX and Phoenix have a certain, how do you say it?
Correlation.
And also a sort of
strong
same
correlation.
customers, old exchanges, loyal customers.
Usually big firms.
Yeah. Bitfinex is the place to go to if you want to play arbitrage and stuff like that. And if you're big, basically.
Yeah, a lot of them do the FBTC. For example, that has a lot of volume, usually. Right, so on lower time frame, you can see coin margin. They're usually the first to risk on and risk off. They started buying the bottom, and they've basically had to chase to cover their ass on shorts in this pump. And they're basically still doing it, so they're still bidding whenever they get a chance. I find usually the most edge is from using the 6 hour or the 4 hour. And that's just going back to like, you know, where did we previously bottom and like what kind of PA and range, etc. And you can see it's just green the entire time. Great time to start spot buying, risking on a bit. And you can see this low here. Futures get wrecked. And they start chasing this entire move. Chasing, limit chasing. Trying to cover, the shorts and make a profit, without making a loss. But yeah, that's for example as well. And then you got the entire bottom range is basically green. And well, that's just clear as day. I don't have to explain that really. And a good time to start notifying is you see these rallies that are led by Perpetual instruments. And yeah, so it leads up to this little bar, and then that's premium. And what do you get? Big puke, long swept, more longs liquidated, and then we run up. And you do this into shorts. And the same happened. And you start to get more and more blips of green. So everyone bought here. I did too. And you get this rejection, clear resistance. And you puked on Corona news. Great time for the big guys to push the market offside.
Release it, yeah.
And it looks like the exact same is happening, but to the short side. Is there anything else I have to show? No, I don't think so.
So what does a typical day for you if you're trading look like? Just make it a bit more
Typical
of a
day?
yeah. Like what is a good day for you, and what is your plan, and how do you act on certain moves? Like, talk a little bit more personal, if that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So what I typically use is I use this, which is already on the Kingfisher site. I just have a look. This is like a general perspective of how the market is looking at, how the market participants are looking at price. And
This one is so clean, man.
yeah, it is. It is. And you can see everyone's still bearish, mostly. And if you go to a lower time frame, if you want, you can see more precisely what's going on. So you can see they're still pretty short biased. But as long as spot is buying, well, it's just going to continue going up and squeezing. And yeah, that's history.
Yeah.
And then often I will look at this template, but I like the 1 minute. The art is just cleaner for me. Right, sometimes this will happen. You just click to the 5 minute, let it load, and then go back. All right, so the candle bars don't look weird. So what I'll do is if I've missed the move already, I'll scroll back and basically point it to the bottom and see how the structure's moved, how the white line, the delta, has reacted with price. Types of liquidations, the delta volume, the volume here, and see how structure's forming, and then look at current. And you can see, like, along with price, the perp Bybit CVD is basically the same. And that means perp traders are getting more and more active, and that means you're going to get more and more really erratic moves in the market. So I want to see some type of spread blowout, and that's a really volatile move. And then I'll take the opposite side of that, especially if it's supported by spot. So here we can see right now there's low buying, but the Coinbase CBD is ticking up. And this could be confluence of trend continuation. And then for systematic level things, I like to look at EMAs. Let's go to, is this actually the 1 hour? Okay, this is the 1 hour. Oh yeah, look at this. That was, I think, the signal for most traders to buy. And last time we failed here, bounced, failed. So as you can see, this hasn't happened for a while. And you can see the CVDs have basically just gone down, gone down, gone down. So we're at a point where price is doing the opposite. And this ultimately defines the climax of sellers, absolute seller exhaustion. So I look at things like that with confluence. All right, there we go. All right, so on lower time frame, you can see it went below, dip, sellers got absorbed. You're making decent lows higher, right? And then a reclaim of this. That would be my entry. And then I would let this run.
And your favorite time frames of looking at what is it? What is it you usually look at? And
My favorite time frames?
Yeah.
Depends on the PA. If it's trend, I like to look at the 1 minute, 5 minute, and 15. If it's range, more 30, 1 hour, 4 hour, around those.
And can you sleep with open positions?
Personally, I mean, it really depends on the structure. So as to say, you longed down here, right? Because of, the discounts. for example. That could be a thesis, and you got Coinbase, which is buy, right? Yeah, you could definitely sleep because this is a continuation trigger for a lot of people. And basically all you need to do is just set, your stop loss like you. Because even if it runs this, it breaks a trend, which means this range is now either getting retested or invalidated. And what I would have said is to TP around here so you get confirmation of like the high, spot selling into it, lower high. Yeah, it's reversal. And I would start to TP here. And then once you see this reclaimed on like 5 minute, so yeah, look, like nice. This is just clean to me. Clean trend, big bot, bearish, bleed down, retest, bearish, reclaim here, clean. And then put your stop loss below this wick. Because even, if it gets ran, you're still in profit. And let's say you want to short, you could short this when it breaks up. Wow, talking for 42 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. Time is flying.
Yeah, that's generally what I look at.
Yeah, very cool. And guys, if you're interested in one of these things or you want a deeper explanation, like I said, Medium articles of Skew and explanations are all on his Twitter. In the comments, you can ask your way, and this won't be the last time he's on. And if interest is high, we will get him on ASAP, and I think for sure we will get him on again soon, because this guy can keep on talking for a very long time, and it's always very interesting. Compared to his style, I'm way more simplified, I would say. Or simplified, not even sure how to say it, but I'm
You're
not
more,
going in that
traditional,
deep.
which is fine.
Yeah, I just have a little toolbox compared to the big toolbox, I would say. The big and deep toolbox. Yeah, and that's about it. Did you forget anything, Skew?
Yes, I actually did. So what I forgot to mention is you got crap load of selling until this low, but price moves up. That was basically your continuation signal, as well as the reclaim of the 50 EMA.
Yeah, and what do you think?
Very
Did you see that one coming? Was it in the charts, or
yeah, I made a tweet recently, very flat low, and I think I tweeted, yeah, it was this one. Basically, clean absorption, and outlined that Coinbase did not do this. Perps are confident here. Stablecoin futures are at a point of what we call EQ, equilibrium, and that's we get a move up here, they have to cover, so the shorts have to cover, and the buyers start to step in quite quickly. And then same for the coin margin, you see them start to chase around here.
Yeah, good one. No. It lined up a little bit with some news this morning about
Vaccines.
And a company ending with Erna, saying they had to make new ones for the new variant. Yeah, I'm just being scared of being shadow banned or something on YouTube for saying certain things out loud. That's how paranoid I am.
Fair enough.
I think it is part of being in crypto, It attracts a certain kind of people, and especially people who are like over here for a couple of years. You're here for a reason.
It's true.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk again soon, or do we need something else?
We could do a weekly thing.
I'm totally fine with that.
So am I.
A lot of fun. Basically a deep dive every week, Let me know in the comments if you guys like that. I would for sure like that, and I think you guys will as well. But let me know, because yeah, you guys are designers of YouTube. Let me know. And that's about it. Make sure to follow Skew on Twitter. Check out his Medium. And if you have any questions or interested in anything, yeah, Kingfisher is where you can get his stuff. And that should be it for today. Thanks for your time, Skew.
My pleasure, bro. Anytime.
Anytime. Good. See you guys.